I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
If you're looking for the best basketball talk in the universe, you just found it. This is Deep Hoops, where fans are the host. Tim Brayboy, Troy Ramel Royal, and me, your point guard, Jehudi. We're talking basketball, all basketball, and nothing but basketball. So sit back and enjoy the best basketball talk in the podcast universe. This is Deep Hoops.
Well, it's that time. Another week in the NBA down.
Yes.
That means another week of Deep Hoops.
Yes.
I'm the minister.
And I'm Rob.
And we'd like to welcome you to Deep Hoops, where we're not experts, but we're passionate fans talking about the game we love. What's up, Rob?
How you doing? I'm good.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Yo, man, I heard they said we had a spirited conversation last time, huh?
Yeah.
Yo, we still love each other. We still from the same hood. We goombas or whatever you want to call it. But, you know, when you start talking about sports, it can't get heated.
It can't get heated.
But ain't no love lost over here. So don't go start no drama. Don't start no Trump stuff. We still love each other, all right?
Before we get started, Joe, I appreciate all you guys tuning in, following us on Facebook at Deep Hoops, watching us on YouTube, following us through newflavor.tv. We just ask that you spread the word, spread the love. If you haven't followed us or subscribed to us, please do so.
Yes, sir.
Encourage others. I mean, we're looking to take this as far as it can go. And again, as us being passionate fans, we want to speak for other fans that are just like us. There's so many voices out there that are not being heard on a regular.
Word.
And if we can represent you guys, we will.
Amen. Amen. I thought I was the minister.
You are.
All right, so you can follow us. There's one way that you can shout back at us. All right, talk back to us at deephoopsinfo@gmail.com. So if you don't want to Facebook us, if you don't want to, reach out to us on Twitter, on Instagram, well, we haven't Snapchatted yet, right?
No,
we still ain't Snapchat. We waiting for our daughters to show us how to Snapchat. But we haven't Snapchatted yet. But for you old folks like us out there, deephoopsinfo@gmail.com. That's like saying 1222 35th Avenue. That's almost like snail mail now, right?
Really?
All right. So I just gave my address in Ravenswood, but anyway. But let's jump right into it, Rob.
Sure. Let's do it.
So we always start with the week in review, and there was a lot to talk about this week in the NBA. But the thing that stood out to you as we do a week in review, and we have to somewhat temper that because we're going to talk about Cleveland. But one of the things that stood out to you in Cleveland, in the week in review, is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Hit it.
Yeah, I've been critical of Cleveland, and I recognize that they had that 18-1 run. And at that time, it was impressive, and I gave them kudos. But I also felt that it was easier for Tyronn Lue at that time because they had suffered quite a bit of injuries, and he had less egos to deal with. But now that guys are coming back from injuries,
You got to manage those minutes.
Now he's got to not only manage the minutes, but he's got to massage the egos.
Right.
And there was a report that came out today that the score release that players on the Cleveland Cavaliers is claiming that LeBron is slowing down the team. So, I mean, there's a lot going on there. There was a game where LeBron, you could see him in the huddle screaming at one of the coaches.
Yeah.
It's just, we've seen this movie before where they had this January swoon before.
Right.
Remember, Cleveland's got different players now. So there's a different cast. And they are one of the oldest teams in the league. And they've dealt with a lot of injuries. And now they got to reincorporate. No, not reincorporate, but incorporate.
Yes.
Isaiah Thomas. And then they're going to have to reincorporate Derrick Rose.
Right.
So it's not really going to be as smooth as it may appear.
But you know what? The incorporation of Isaiah Thomas is bigger than reincorporating Derrick Rose.
I
Derrick
agree.
Rose is off the bench. Derrick Rose is going to get his minutes. Derrick Rose, they're not expecting as much of. Isaiah Thomas, to your point last week, you would say trade him.
Yes.
So if they don't trade him, they have to incorporate him. Because if they don't get DeAndre Jordan,
Right.
and they pass up something like that, and they don't incorporate Isaiah Thomas, what the hell's going on?
And right now, that's a freeway to the basket.
Right.
There's no defense being played.
right.
Tristan Thompson has gone Hollywood, and he's no longer the same.
But see, that's why I said last week, even though it would be a comeback, but don't call it a comeback, as LL said, of Bogut. You know, he is someone that can defend the rim without losing any of your parts. I'm surprised that Bogut hasn't been picked up yet.
I think Bogut is weighing his options, and maybe Bogut is waiting for the call. And I'm with you. I'm surprised.
You know,
he has not been picked up.
and there's been, you know, we're not experts, we're not the press, we're not the media, we're fans in a basement doing a show. But I mean, at the end of the day, you would think that someone would have talked about it, some insider would have talked about, you know, people making calls to Bogut.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything.
Well, I did hear that Milwaukee is one team of interest, but outside of that, it hasn't really illustrated that there's been dialogue.
And I said last week, that's, in my opinion, that's the best fit.
You said Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But I think what's happening is that the teams that would be interested in him are also looking at what it might take to acquire DeAndre Jordan or Marc Gasol.
But once again, you know, I can't put enough emphasis on it. DeAndre Jordan or Gasol would take a trade. You're losing pieces to gain a piece.
Right.
And then, I mean, I don't know what Marc Gasol's contract is. DeAndre Jordan is going to be up for a contract renewal.
Well, what happens is that from a dollar standpoint,
Right.
they have the same money. DeAndre Jordan has an option year for next year, so he can opt out. Gasol is on the books for, I believe, 2 more years. So if you want to make the trade to hold on to the player, then Marc Gasol is the one to trade for.
Right.
But if you want to take the gamble that DeAndre opts out and he resigns,
But see, I don't think Cleveland can take that gamble. They have no guarantee of James.
Well, you know what? They took that gamble when they traded Kyrie Irving because Isaiah Thomas is a free
Right.
agent.
But I think they knew, I mean, they went in knowing that.
Right.
You can't afford to be a team. You're going to fall to the basement if you lose James, if you trade for Jordan, or, I mean, if they don't have anything to do with Isaiah, they're going to lose so many pieces. Now, that would be interchangeable. Jordan coming and Isaiah leaving, that's the same thing.
Yeah, but my thing is this. If Cleveland, whether they win the championship or not, if LeBron leaves, is Isaiah staying?
If they give him money. Now, so I think the bigger question is, how many teams would give him the money?
I think you'll probably find 2 or 3 teams that will give him
Okay, but Cleveland would be one, especially if they lose James.
maybe not.
I don't see how they wouldn't.
Maybe not. I don't. Here's the thing. He's looking for 5 years, 200,000.
Okay, 200 million.
He's looking for
200,000.
5 years, 200 million. He's looking for 5 years, 200 million. I don't think Cleveland would want to invest in that. And knowing that they have the Brooklyn pick, Cleveland probably would want to gut it out and start over.
All right, so we're on the weekend review, and we kind of let it bleed into our next topic. So we're going to blend those 2 topics because, you know, is Cleveland? I think the subject was, is there trouble in Cleveland, or are they just doing what they do in January?
Hey, you know, here's the thing. They lost by 29 to Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Then they turned around and lost by 34 to Toronto without 2 starters. Kyle Lowry wasn't there and Serge Ibaka.
Right.
And then they turn around and lose a close one to Indiana.
Right.
And I felt that they was going to lose that game to only think that they're going to win Monday against Golden State at home. But I think there's concerns in Cleveland, and I really.
All right, but wait a minute. We've been here. It's the Smokey Robinson said. It's the same old song. Mm-hmm. The bottom line is we've been here before. Mm-hmm. So is there truly trouble or is there January trouble?
Now I think it's truly trouble, and I'll tell you why. I think that the teams in the East are better. I think the teams in the East are much.
But who can beat them?
Well, let's put it this way: they could be beat. Who would I put my money on? I would start with Boston, and then probably go Boston
in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll probably go Boston, Toronto, Milwaukee. Not to say that
could beat them,
right? But could beat them. Will they beat them? That it's got to be played. But I would say there's concerns in Cleveland, and a lot has to do. They're older now. They have chemistry issues, and they're going to be playing fresher legs and younger legs. And these other teams have gotten a little bit better this time around.
They have, but, come playoff. Listen, in the playoffs, and I'm not a Bron fan, but in the playoffs, you never count out LeBron.
You can't.
You can't.
You can't.
And none of those other teams, except for maybe Boston with Kyrie, understand playoff pressure.
And
the Greek Freak, he doesn't understand he was in the playoffs last year, but he doesn't understand playoff winning pressure. The guys in Toronto, they don't understand. They've been in the playoffs for years, but they don't understand playoff winning pressure because they're always losing. They're perpetual losers
in the playoffs.
They're losers in the playoffs.
As I mentioned last week, if you recall, Dwayne Casey being possibly the Andy Reid of the NBA.
Right.
But I'll say this. I got a good look at this Toronto team. And I'm not going to say that they're a lot. But I got a good look at them.
Young boys.
Their bench is stronger.
But they're young boys.
Bench is stronger, though.
But they're young boys. And it's a different, even though they could be the same amount of experience as some of the Boston guys. But the Boston players are playing crunch time during the season, every game. They're out there. Toronto, they're bench players. They're coming off the bench. They're not playing in the pressure of the regular season. So if they're not playing in the pressure of the regular season, what's going to happen when the pressure, quadruples in the playoffs? I don't know that what we're seeing from Toronto's bench now is what we're going to see of Toronto's bench in the playoffs.
Well, that's to be determined. I do think that Toronto's going to finish with the second seed. And that's going to be helpful because at least they'll have 4 games out. Well, they'll have an opportunity to have 4 wins at home.
All right, so right now, and we're going way off script. If the playoffs were to begin today,
yes, Boston
would play who?
The AFC.
And that would be who? Philly?
Right now, Indiana, I believe.
Indiana. Toronto's number 2, who would they play?
They would play, I want to say Detroit.
Well, Detroit. Okay. All right. I was going to try to make an argument that they may not even get out of the first round, but Detroit is...
They're getting out of the first round.
Yeah, Detroit is...
The only team that I think can give Toronto trouble on a lower seed
is Philly?
It's possibly Miami.
But Miami's a 4 seed right now.
Yeah, that's if they fall down. But they're a 4th seed right now.
Miami's not falling down to 8.
6 or 7. I don't see them staying at 4.
They may not stay at 4, but they won't fall no further than 6.
Yeah, Well, here's the thing. They're 4th now. Yeah, you're right. They probably don't fall.
They're not falling further. And you know what? It's going to be a part of my closing comments. But damn, is Spoelstra doing some stuff.
I don't know how he's doing it right now.
Spoelstra is doing some stuff. So, all right, so we just blew away the week in review. Y'all know what the week was like. Text us, page us, do whatever, and you can talk about the week in review because we just blew it away. We didn't do anything about the week in review, but we combined the week in review with the Cleveland assessment. So we even went into the Heat. But let's go further into the Heat. What's up with the Heat?
The Heat. They knocked on the door for the playoffs last year.
Last year, right.
And
they started off a little shaky this year.
And they did that last year.
Right.
Because if you recall, they had a 15-game losing streak last year to only have a 15-game winning streak. It's a team full of a bunch of role players that Eric Spoelstra seems to be getting the best out of. And they're in the fourth place. They're 25-17. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. They won 7 in a row. They have a total of 8 players. 8.
In rotation.
That's averaging double figures. 8.
8, not only in rotation, but averaging double figures.
Double figures. And they range from 10 plus points up to 17 points.
So nobody in 20.
Nobody's in 20. So what that is a genuine team effort.
Yeah.
And at any night, this player could lead the team. Ellington comes off the bench, he averages 10 points a game. James Johnson comes off the bench, he averages 10 points a game. Goran Dragic is leading the team at 17 and a half a game. You got Waiters, when he plays, he's healthy, he's averaging 14 a game. Whiteside, he's averaging a double-double. I mean, they are really getting the most from their players on the offensive end that they're playing as a team. My only concern with them is can they score enough? Because, believe it or not, they average 100.9 a game, but they give up 101.4 a game. So it's not much of a difference, but the question is, can they get enough points a game or score enough points?
You know, and that's a great point. And that will come into play in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. That's why they won't go far in the playoffs. But to get to the playoffs, and to not drop below, in my opinion, the 6th seed. Now, they're a team that a major injury can blow it out of the water. So I can say they won't drop below the 6th seed. But a major injury, and I know that they man up, next man up. But you have a major injury to one of your key players, you can do next man up all you want, but that can also drop you below 6.
The one player I say they can't lose is Goran Dragic. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's by far their leader. He's the veteran player there. So many players on that team is like 5 years or less on that team. And, you know, I don't think I have a Miami player 5 years or less as a future star of this league. And,
right.
And the thing about it is, but they get contribution from all their players, and they do a very good job at it. Eric Spoelstra, who I never really thought of as a good coach because he had the big three over there, but he's in his last 2 years he's showing what he's capable of doing, and I got to give him credit. He's not a bad coach at all. He's performing very well with this team.
Well, I mean, we've talked about this over the years when we were just an audio podcast, and you didn't like Spoelstra. I've always been a Spoelstra fan. I mean, there's a thing of X and O coaching, and there's a thing of coaching egos. Mm-hmm. And he was able to, balance both. Good X and O coach, and then coaching egos. And when you're dealing with LeBron, and we're going to, we didn't talk about it, but we kind of talked about it in the production meeting, and you addressed it. LeBron, in my opinion, I've always heard people say LeBron makes people better. And I say, he makes the game easier, but he makes no one better. Everyone has to peel down their game to play with LeBron. Yeah. And so imagine a coach that can see things that's happening and wants to get other people involved, but you have to play the way that LeBron wants you to play because he's the biggest name in the NBA. So, that's why I always felt that Spoelstra was a great coach.
And he's showing it now. I got to give him credit. Like you said, I was hard on him in the past. But again, this Miami team, 8 players in double digits, 4 of them is coming off the bench. They're just doing a tremendous job. Kelly Olynyk, who I think Boston misses, he comes off the bench. He averages 10 a game. You got there's 2 Johnsons on the team, mm-hmm. Tyler Johnson Can't think of the other Johnson's name. Oh, James Johnson. He averages 10.6 a game. Tyler averages 12 a game. Ellington, a journeyman, he makes his way there. He's averaging 10.7 a game. And then Josh Richardson, he's like 12.7 a game. It's just so much over there that is getting it done. And the highly draft pick, who many Knicks fans wanted the Knicks to take over Porzingis that year, he doesn't even play, and that's Justice Winslow.
Right.
He doesn't even play. So
kudos to Phil Jackson.
Yeah, he did something.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't give kudos to Phil Jackson very often, but that was a good one. I think I wrote when I sent you the text, "Oh, OKC." What? Oh, OKC. I don't want to cuss. What in the world is going on at OKC?
I don't know. They should play in Ohio because they are the roller coasters.
Oh my God, they're right, exactly. The Ohio players, for you young folks that are watching. All of you remember the album covers with the naked lady?
Oh, yeah.
The fire. Oh, they had the holes around them. Anyway.
Still my favorite record album.
Of all time. But they should be in the Ohio players because you never know what you're going to get with them.
Yeah, and you know what? Last week this time we was talking about them being 8-2 in their last 10 games, and in a week now that last 10 games becomes 5-5.
5-5.
And they sit in 5th place right now. They're 23-20. They'll probably win 45 to 47 games this year. But for this squad, I just knew it would be a lock for 50.
I keep making excuses for Billy Donovan. And last year on our audio podcast, I made the comment that Billy Donovan was just playing the regular season that was 2 years ago.
2 years.
2 years ago.
That's correct.
He was playing the regular season for the playoffs. I gotta hope that's his plan right now. The bottom line is, if he's playing for the regular season, he's failing.
I thought that a replacement should have been intact. I know you don't do it mid-season, but I don't know if he's the guy for this job.
But then who would you go to? Maurice Cheeks on the bench? No.
No, you're not going to
You can't.
You have to bring somebody in. But the thing is this, this is the fear of college coaches. In college,
you are in
the
control.
Coach is bigger than the players.
Right.
And even in the one and done programs, the coach is bigger than the players. But in the league, the players are by far bigger than the coach.
And especially when you have P-Boy on your team, you got Westbrook.
You got Westbrook, you got Paul George, and
no. Forget. I mean,
and you got Carmelo.
But forget those names. Forget those names. Westbrook runs that team, and there's some. I don't believe in stroking the flame of groomers, but the rumor out there is that Westbrook and Donovan have a challenge.
And if that's the case, then you have to make a change.
But you can't make it now.
I mean, if it's when do you make it?
You have to wait until the end of the year.
Here's the thing. Did you trade for Paul George for one season?
But, so if you bring it, who would you bring in? You have to get a big name, and then you have to implement their system. And there's no time in the middle of the season to implement a brand new process. So you're stuck.
The only name out there is Mark Jackson.
And I wouldn't do it to Mark, nor would I do it to OKC. Because you're not going to keep Paul George with that.
But Mark Jackson would jump on it immediately. And here's the thing. I'm not one that thinks, and please hear me out, guys. I'm not one to think that Paul George is one and done in OKC. I really don't. I think Paul George is going to stick around one more year. And I think he's going to stick around on a 1-year deal. Because the landing destination for him is obviously going to be the Lakers. And I don't think the Lakers is ready for him next year. And now, it's different if the Lakers land a Cousins first now it might be easier for him to leave. But I personally believe that he's going to do a one more year there because Carmelo has an option year. I don't think he opts out.
No,
Because he's not going to get the money that he sees. He might get a 3-year deal that totals more than what he's going to earn next year because I think he earns 27, 28 million next year. He'll probably get a 3-year deal that pays him 40, 45 million. But he can make that and still get the 3-year deal after that year. So I think that they both stay in OKC one more year. They're going to make it to the second round. There's no doubt in my mind they make it to the second round. The question is will they advance after that?
Does Carmelo opt out if LeBron goes to Houston and they open up a spot for him in Houston?
No. And I got news for you. If LeBron leaves Clippers. Leaves Cleveland and head west, he's going to Minnesota.
And we'll be right back. So we're back from the break. And I'm still speechless. Did you say LeBron going to Minnesota?
Yes, I did.
LeBron James.
LeBron James.
Going to Minnesota.
Going to Minnesota.
Timberwolves. Not the Vikings.
Not to the Vikings.
As a tight end.
Going to the Timberwolves. And this is why. I learned this week that the Los Angeles Clippers had the audacity, the gall, to call Minnesota and contact them about trading Blake Griffin for Karl Anthony Towns.
Have not because you ask not. That's what the Bible says.
Okay.
I'm a minister. I know that one.
I understand. And Minnesota correctly said no. But they said, call us back when you want someone else. And that got me to thinking. And I said, LeBron wanted to play with Butler. So it got me to thinking, is Wiggins available? And
so you're saying they're going to lose LeBron anyway?
So what I'm saying is this. It would not surprise me that they'll find a way to unload Wiggins to free up cap space to bring LeBron in.
But then that would be a trade.
Well,
and LeBron has never left a team in a way that they would be better or in benefiting them.
It would be a trade, but the trade would be, and let's just say, hypothetically speaking, and folks, I'm going off on the deep end here.
You're stirring the drink.
Let's just say hypothetically, Magic Johnson says, you know what? I might get shut out in free agency this year. Because this happened to the Lakers. They've been shut out last couple of summers. And he says, you know what? Let's go for a young talent now. And they decide to trade for Andrew Wiggins and give an expiring contract. Summertime, that money comes off the book. LeBron is free to come.
So you're saying it won't be a trade straight up for LeBron.
No.
LeBron will be a free agent signing.
Right. It'll be a free agent signing, or it could be a sign and trade at the end of the year if they don't unload Wiggins.
Okay, but LeBron never gives a team a sign and trade option.
Well, actually, when he went to Miami, it was a sign and trade. It was a sign and trade. They were able to get like some exception.
Yeah, but he left them.
But it wasn't no players.
Yeah. He left them holding the bag. He always leaves the team holding the bag.
There was no players involved.
So I don't see that. So let's go back to the Magic Johnson. Picking up Wiggins. I don't see them wanting Wiggins.
I just threw a name out.
Okay.
A team out there. But in order for Minnesota to free up
do they give up Towns?
No.
To free up space?
No. It would be Wiggins.
To get LeBron?
It'd be Wiggins.
To get LeBron?
It would be Wiggins.
Would you give up Towns to get LeBron?
No.
You would not give up
No.
Neither would I. But I'm just wondering. You're the trade man, so I thought.
No, I wouldn't do that because right now you have Towns for the next 6 years, if not longer. LeBron could be 2 or 3 years.
Right. I agree.
With no guarantee of a champion.
But if LeBron goes, Wade is free. Does Wade follow wherever he goes?
I think that
because Wade and what's his name are close too. Butler.
I think that
because Butler ushered him into the Banana Boat crew.
I believe that Wade has 3 options left after this season. That's to remain in Cleveland.
Then ain't happening.
LeBron remains in Cleveland.
Okay, right.
2, to return back to Miami. 3, to hang it up.
4, to go wherever LeBron goes.
I don't see that. I see a retirement. I don't. To me, that would start to hurt his legacy.
You know what? If he hasn't heard it already, he's not going to hurt it. I think everybody knows who Dwayne Wade is and was, or was more important than is.
Right.
And I don't think it's going to hurt his legacy. I mean, if Paul Pierce didn't hurt his legacy running around over the last few years from Boston to Brooklyn to the Clippers, I don't see Wade hurting his.
But you know what about Paul Pierce? Paul Pierce has always been a solid player in this league and a good player in this league. Not the Clippers. But we didn't start talking about
Washington.
We didn't start talking about a Paul Pierce legacy until the Big 3 happened and they won that championship.
No. I mean, no.
Listen, they were
championship legacy.
They was gonna trade.
Yeah, but I mean, no. I'm not going there with you, Rob. I'm not going there with you. Paul Pierce and Paul Pierce on ESPN is the Ra of deep hoops.
He's a great analyst.
Oh, so you calling yourself great now?
No. But Paul Pierce is a great analyst, man. I really enjoy listening and watching.
Because he stirs the drink just like you.
He's a lot like me.
He stirs the drink.
He's a lot
He
like
says
me.
the most outrageous stuff on that show.
Sometimes he even looks like me.
I'm telling you, I'm like, is that wrong? I'm like, yo, are you from Ravenswood?
I can relate with him.
Yeah, I know you can. I know you can.
And shout out to James Miles who watched the show. He always said that my game was like Paul Pierce.
Can we take another break?
There's no breaks.
There's no more breaks? All right. So let's get to the games of the week. We have a good one coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, we do.
Boston. Golden State is coming to Cleveland.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, everyone's healthy.
Yeah.
So if Cleveland is going to come out of their swoon, it's going to be this game that's going to do it.
Yeah. I'm rooting for Golden State whenever they play Cleveland. I see this game going one of 2 ways. Either Golden State comes in there and just blows them out, or Cleveland wins a close game. And I think this is a game that Cleveland, tighten their laces and pull up their shorts and play ball and try to get back on track. Because this is a type of game, if they lose, they will be embarrassed. And it'll just further that swoon that they're in. So to me, this is somewhat of a must-win game for Cleveland.
And for it being the MLK, probably outside of the playoffs and the All-Star game, and Christmas, of course, this is their biggest day. Mm-hmm. We only have 2 games that we want to talk about for MLK Day.
Yeah, they did kind of a poor job as far as televising.
Yeah, they got some bad games. But anyway.
San Antonio and Atlanta.
Come on. I had free tickets and I'm not going. I'm not going. But Milwaukee versus Washington could be a pretty good game.
And you know what?
And it's not on television.
That could be a preview of a first-round matchup. I know that Miami is sitting in 4th spot right now, and we both said that we don't think they will slide further than 6. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the more appropriate spot for them. But I do think Washington and Milwaukee occupy 4-5, either way.
Right.
And so that could be a preview of a first-round matchup. That game should be televised.
That game should be.
Yeah,
they got San Antonio and Atlanta. I mean,
that's gonna be a good game.
I got free tickets for that, and I'm not going to that game. I mean, come on. Then we have on Wednesday Miami versus Milwaukee. Interesting game. Not a great game, but an interesting game.
No.
And you said they just won tonight.
Miami won today against Milwaukee. So look for Milwaukee to have some revenge on them. It should be an entertaining game.
Okay. Then on Thursday, we have Philly again against Boston.
Yeah, anytime these two match up, we always look at this as the future of the Eastern Conference. So it's always intriguing. But right now, I believe Boston's got Philly.
Yeah, that's a Back to the Future game, and the future is winning with Boston. Well, not the future, because I don't know what Philly's going to be in the future. Philly could be the future.
They could be the future.
They could be the future.
We still haven't seen Markelle Fultz yet.
Right.
So we don't know.
Right.
And they got money to spend.
Exactly. So, I mean, they could be the future. And then also on Thursday, we got Minnesota versus Houston in Houston.
Now, that's intriguing because Minnesota is looking to secure one of those top 4 spots. I think Houston falls down. I don't think they continue to ride the 1, 2, 3 spot. I actually still feel like OKC can get into the 3rd spot or the 4th spot, and I know they don't want no parts of the 4th spot. But this should be an interesting matchup. Minnesota's playing well.
They're playing very well.
They're playing
very
well.
Tibbs, I've been critical of Tibbs, but, I mean, he's got them playing really well right now. Then on Friday, you got San Antonio versus Toronto. Interesting game. Not a great game, but an interesting game.
Should be a good game. You want to see Toronto come out and handle business. San Antonio.
You want to see Kawhi Leonard play.
Right. I watched the San Antonio game the other night, and man, it was just a snoozer.
Yeah, I mean, they're going back to that. Without Kawhi Leonard, that's what they look like.
Yeah, but you know what? You look at the score, they're in the game.
Right.
It's a good
well, I mean, they're well coached.
and
that coaching is going to keep you in a game. Stars are going to win the game. And then on Saturday, we're back with Saturday NBA.
Yeah.
2 televised games that are going to be pretty interesting.
On ABC.
On ABC. Interesting game. The first one, OKC versus Cleveland, in Cleveland.
If you'd have asked me to give you maybe 5 to 7 possible matchup scenarios before the season start, this would have been one of the 5. So, and because it would have been, it's still a possibility. The odds is probably a long shot, but nevertheless, anytime LeBron and Carmelo get together, it's always fun to watch. Over the years, early on, Carmelo has always gotten the best of LeBron, but the last 4 years, LeBron has seemed to change that around. But this should be a good game.
It should be.
It should be and you know what? I look for OKC to come out and win this game.
Which OKC is going to be there? OKC who?
I think the OKC that needs to play well is going to show up.
They play big games well, except for Minnesota.
Minnesota's just got their number. That happens sometimes. Ask the Pittsburgh Steelers about the Jacksonville Jaguars. They just have their number.
Why you go there?
Sometimes a team just have your number.
Are you saying that for Greg Berry?
Yeah.
You say that for Greg Berry?
Hey.
They're losers. All right, and lastly, we have Golden State versus Houston on Saturday.
Great game for a Saturday night. People think this could be a conference finals matchup.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. But nevertheless, it could happen. But I look for Golden State. Harden should be back. I look for Golden State just to wipe the floor with them.
Yeah, I think so. But we're at that point where it's time for closing comments.
Yeah.
Now, I know you came with it. You came with it last week. Had me, you hurt me last week. Then you went on NBA radio and had Gulsheimer or whatever his name is agreeing with you. That hurt me even more. So what do you have for us this week, Rob?
Well, in light of Kristaps Porzingis saying that he is tired, and he's complaining about back-to-back games, and he's only 17 years old, it's just unheard of. And, I can't blame Porzingis for why he feels that way. Because today's stars are divas today. They're not the stars that you and I grew up with. I listen to a lot of NBA radio, and there's a former player that's on there just about 5 days a week, and his name is Eddie Johnson. And he said something one time that was, to me, was so profound, but it was just a simple sentence. He said that, simple remark, I should say. He said, during the off season, I rest. He said, during the off season, I just work on strengthening my body, conditioning my body. Today's players play too much basketball in the summer. They're playing for their countries. They're playing in summer leagues for various reasons, whether it's World Games, Olympics, and so forth. I might have said this to friends. I might have even said this on the show. But I'm going to say it again. I think there should be a rule instituted that players should not be allowed to play for their country or play in these summer leagues. If you're 4 to 5 years in, you should only have one time to play, possibly two. But if this is your livelihood, this is your income, this is where you make your living at, I think it should be some commitment there. And it's easy for me to say that when it's hard for anybody to be committed in sports today. Owners is not committed to players. Mm-hmm. Owners is not committed to cities. Mm-hmm. Franchises, moves. I mean, who would ever think that the Oakland Raiders will be playing in Vegas? That just goes to show you what loyalty and commitment stand. But to me, if you want to be a better basketball player, Porzingis and others, use the summertime wisely. You complain it's a long season. Well, you know what? It wasn't long for the guys in the 70s that played in Chuck Taylors, that rode Greyhounds and Amtrak and didn't have masseuses and nutritionists following them from game to game and on charter flights. But the difference with them than today is that they did not play summer basketball for their countries or various leagues. They took the time out to rest. And I advise you, Porzingis, and others to do the same. Yes, it is a long season, but it's even longer when you're playing basketball in July and August.
Be a pro. Be a pro. Play where you get paid, And if you're not getting paid, like you said, I like that. 1, maybe 2 times an international play. And then after that, you're committed to your team.
That's it.
I like that. My closing comments are going to be brief. We've been talking about great coaches, and we talked about great coaches even in this podcast. And I said I was going to come back to this. When Spoelstra coached Miami, and he had the big three, everyone said he won because he had LeBron. And then last year, he came so close to making it to the playoffs. But what people forget, he coached before LeBron got there. And though they didn't win a title, and though they weren't great, he coached that team up. And even Dwayne Wade said, this guy is a good coach. He told LeBron, this guy's a good coach. And he's proving that he is a good coach. He beat Pop in the finals. Okay? This guy has a championship. Why is it that he's dismissed and nobody talks about him as a great coach? So to Spoelstra, I'm going to say you are a great coach and you're doing a great job. You may not stay at 4, but my God, to get to 4 at the halfway point in the season is saying a lot about your coaching ability when, it would take a basketball junkie to name more than 2 people on your team. You're doing a great job, and you're doing it without Fizdale. That's just a shout out to Fizdale. You've been doing it without Fizdale, but Fizdale was your assistant, and he should still be coaching in the NBA. You're a good coach, Spoelstra. And for all the fans out there that have been denying Spoelstra because they said, well, he hasn't done anything and he only won because he had LeBron, look at what he's doing. No, he's not winning a title, and he's not going to win a title with the team that he has assembled. But he's coaching them up. He's coaching them, and he doesn't have a superstar on that team. I don't think there's a player on that team that is going to make the All-Star game.
No.
And he's coaching them up. So to Spoelstra, my man, you're doing a great job. Keep up the great work. You may be underrated in a lot of people's mind, but you are a superstar coach in the mind of the minister. And that's my closing comments. So, for Deep Hoops, now remember, we're going to talk about the top 10 players under 5 years of experience, the top 10 under 5 in our next podcast. For the minister,
and I'm Rob.
We want you to come and join us every week. Subscribe, like, follow,
comment,
criticize, email, call us. Do we have a number? Not yet. Not yet. We're going to give you a number, man. It's going to be 1-800-DEEP-HOOPS. I don't know if that even works. I don't even know if that mathematically works. But
reach out.
Reach out to us. Call us and let us know what you're thinking. Text us and let us know what you're thinking. Email us and let us know what you're thinking. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, us and let us know what you're thinking. Because you know what? Just like you, we're not experts, but we're passionate fans talking about the game we love. And we'll be back next time right here on Deep Hoops. Peace.